Do you think that would apply always? Like, do you think there's going to be some, some side constraints, like some situations where you should indeed engage in aggression, or is it like always you're not, you shouldn't be engaging in aggression?
Well, I mean, if you mean like self-defense, which isn't aggression, but I mean, I understand the non-aggression principles. I don't engage in aggression without any reason, without any cause, right?
To be clear, I would say that, defending your property or whatever, that would not be aggression. So the way I define aggression is the initiation of conflict, where a conflict is defined as contradictory actions. So let's say Crusoe and Friday are on an island, Crusoe owns a stick, and then Friday comes along and he tries to wrestle that stick off of Crusoe. So there's a conflict over the use of this stick. They can't both use the stick for their incompatible ends at the same time. So, and Friday has initiated the conflict because he's come in and he's trying to take the
Right.
stick off of Crusoe.
Yeah, I agree that we shouldn't engage in that kind of activity, but I'm asking, like, let's say that there is no God. Let's say that we live in an atheistic worldview. Why is it wrong to engage in conflict in that way, or to contradict, or to engage in subversive practices of business, or let's say that I have let's say I have a business that a competitor is starting up a business in my village, and I don't physically aggress them, but I engage in, let's say, subversive activities where I spread rumors about his business or something that destroys his business. I mean, those are not ethical activities, but they're not aggression if we restrict aggression to physical activities. And so the first question is, do you restrict it only to physical aggression, or is it also ideological and subversive activities? And then on what basis ought we not do those things?
Well, I would say aggression is, I gave my definition of aggression. It's the initiation of conflict. So that is going to be over physical
Well,
things
that
because you
could
can't
be
have conflicts
physical
over
or
like
that could be
ideas.
ideological.
No, you can't
Okay, so
have,
ideological conflict too.
not possible under my definition of conflict. You can say
Wait, hold on,
colloquially
hold
that
on.
you can have a conflict over ideas, but not really. Both two people can have incompatible ideas at the same time, right? In fact, one person can have a contradiction in their head. Like ideas can't have conflicts.
I'm saying that if I start a rumor that's trying to put a competitor out of business, does that fit under your notion of aggression or not?
It would not. No,
Okay, so aggression is only physical.
I can't think of any like non-physical way to aggress, unless you mean like maybe if you think light isn't physical or
I
something, and you could like shine a laser at someone.
subversion. I mean, if I engage in ideological subversion against a competitor,
Yeah, that's not aggression.
corporate espionage.
If you right now like started, you pulled out a document and you'd been like compiling a massive list of lies about me to make everyone hate me, right? And you started going through this on the stream, that would not be aggressive.
So again, I'm just asking in terms of the practicality of this. You said that we shouldn't engage in certain activities based around the NAP, and I'm just trying to figure out, like, how do you restrict it only to physical aggression? On what basis is that? If I can achieve, let's say I achieve more of an effect against you in an unethical way through non-physical means. I mean, don't you think governments, for example, or corporations engage in corporate espionage?
Sure they do, but like the reason why I'd restrict it to physical things is because I think that's the only type of thing which can be an aggression. I think it's the only when you're engaging in some sort of physical activity, that's the only time when you can initiate a
Okay,
conflict with
so
someone.
I'm not, so if I completely destroy your life, I haven't violated any ethics as long as I don't do it physically.
You may have done something wrong, right? It may be the case that you say that that's a bad thing to do, like you shouldn't do it. But the question is whether or not it's aggressive to do it, like whether I could resist you doing that, and that answer is
Okay,
no,
but okay, and on what basis ought I not?
because you aren't initiating any conflicts.
On what basis is that the standard of what is right and wrong?
I didn't say it was the standard of right and wrong. I said that's the definition
Well,
of
that's what
aggression.
I'm asking. You said ought, you ought not, and I'm saying, okay, so let's just go
Yeah, I
back to
didn't.
the issue
I
then.
property theory, like law, doesn't encompass all of ethics. There are ought questions outside of
Right. So I'm
outside of law.
boiling it down to the main point, which is on what basis ought we not do this or that, in your view?
Well, no, the main point is in anarchism versus statism, right? That's the main point. And if you agree with me that people should never aggress, then we have anarchism, right? Because the state is a necessarily aggressive organization.
Well, I have a basis to say that we shouldn't do that. I'm asking what your basis is, other than just saying that we shouldn't.
Right, and if you have a basis that we shouldn't engage in aggression, then you still agree with me. right? You
Yeah, but
might say that you
the
have.
agreement doesn't mean that we have the same reasons for believing that. I'm asking for
Right,
your reasons for believing that.
we
No,
might
it
have
doesn't.
we might have different reasons for being anarchists, but if you are an anarchist,
Right,
then
and that's why matters. I'm
then what
asking
is
for the
this debate
justification
about?
for your position.
If you're an anarchist,
The
what are you debating me about?
justification for the claims that you're making.
Okay,
I'm
well,
asking for the justification for your standard.
sure, I justified the libertarian property theory in my opening statement. Any alternatives are incoherent. Sorry, am I cutting out?
No, you're good now. Go ahead.
So in
Okay.
your worldview as an atheist, I'm asking for the justification for things like human rights, human ethics, universals, natures, etc. What are those?
I mean, in my opening statement, I gave the justification for libertarian property theory, which apparently you agree with, and in which case then there is no state in your
I
worldview.
asked specifically about your no. I asked for your justification and your worldview of those metaphysical things.
I gave the justification for the property theory, which is what this debate is
Where
about.
was the justification for the things I'm asking for, not property theory? The
I
metaphysical
mean,
things.
this isn't a debate about anything other than property theory, though.
It's a debate about God and state. That's what you agreed to. Don't you think that relates to metaphysical ideas and categories?
Sure, but I agreed to debate you on your justification for the state, which apparently you don't have.
And it's going to rest on metaphysical concepts, and you're a child of the Enlightenment with your atheism, and I'm asking for a justification for the metaphysics that your forebears denied. Do you believe in metaphysics or not?
No. Do you have a justification for the state or not? Because you're switching between anarchism and statism on a dime here.
I'm asking you about the assumptions of your worldview, and yes, I do have a
I know that you're
justification
doing
for it.
Okay, so you are in favor of aggression sometimes then, because you said you weren't before.
No, I'm saying that as individuals, we don't have a right to engage in aggressive activities per se,
Right.
but there are authorities in the earth, and they do have the right to engage in warfare and aggression. Yes.
Are those authorities made up of individuals?
They're collective and they're individual. Sure.
But surely any aggression they'd engage in would have to be done on an individual level, right?
I mean, armies fight as groups. They're not only individuals.
Sure, they fight as groups, but it's not the group acting, it's the individuals in that group. Like, is having a group behind me, does that make it such that I'm allowed to aggress suddenly?
Act in groups. Okay, but you use phrases like same nature and universals. Did you not use those phrases?
Yeah.
Okay, what are those?
I mean, is it relevant?
Yeah, you're using claims about metaphysical things that I don't think you know what they are, nor can you justify them. And that's very relevant for a debate. Yeah.
Well, no, because the debate is over whether or not the state has the right to engage in aggression.
Yeah, and
like you're saying they do collectively, but not individually.
On metaphysical concepts. Do you understand that rests on metaphysical concepts?
Okay, but how can they collectively engage in aggression and not individually do it?
Well, individuals also make up groups, and I think groups have a real existence and a real reality, like groups like human nature that you mentioned. So you yourself believe in real universal categories, don't you?
Sure, whatever. But like the question is,
I mean,
can
you or not? Sure, whatever.
the individuals are having to engage in the aggression, right? Which is a contradiction, because you said they're
talked about universals.
You said individuals do not.
Universals or not?
Individuals said. You said that individuals do not have the right to engage in aggression.
I'm asking you about your claim of universal.
I'm asking you about your claim about the anarchism versus statism.
So you're not going to answer whether or not metaphysical things have a real existence or not. Do these things
exist? It's not relevant. What is your opinion on the Heisenberg uncertainty principle?
Your argument rests on presuppositions that you won't justify.
Yeah, let's back up here for a second and see if we can get this back on track. So, Liquid Zulu, if you're asking for the justification that Jay has for the state, Jay is saying that he has a justification for the state, right? For state aggression. That hang on, let me finish, and then we'll get it right back. But he's saying his justification for the state relies on metaphysics. That's what he's saying. That's his positive claim. I don't see a problem with that claim, with allowing that claim for the concept of this debate. Can you tell me why that would be incorrect?
Like I'm not specifically making the claim you said there. I'm not asking for his justification of the state per se. What I'm saying now is that he has said that individuals do not have the right to aggress, but that states are allowed to engage in aggression. But the states would have to engage in aggression that would have to involve individuals aggressing, which they don't have the right to do, apparently. Right?
Yeah,
So
because
it's
I
a
don't believe
contradiction.
that only individuals exist. That's what I'm trying to ask you about universal concepts and collective things having a real existence, which you won't seem to admit, even though you said you believe in universals.
I think things other than individuals exist, right? I think, you know, like
Do universals exist?
plenty of other things exist, but what the
Do
question
universals exist?
you're currently
Do
caught in a
natures-
contradiction, right?
Do natures exist and universals exist?
You're currently caught in a contradiction because you say that individuals both do
natures
and don't have the right
exist
to
and universals
aggress.
exist?
Hang
I'm
on, hang
not
on. Let's
contradicting if I
back
believe
it
in
up.
real collective ontological realities.
I want you to be able to state firmly what your actual question is here, Liquid Zulu. Jay, let him get the whole thing out so we can see what it is that he's after. Go ahead, Liquid.
Right, my actual point of contention here is that Jay has said that individuals absolutely do not have the right to aggress, right? But then he says that states are allowed to engage in aggression, but that would involve individuals aggressing. So he has a contradiction here, where individuals are and are not allowed to engage in aggression.
Only individuals exist.
No. It's relevant whether other things exist. It's relevant whether other things exist.
You have to let him respond now, Liquid Zulu.
This rests on a metaphysical reductionist move that I don't believe in. I don't believe that only individuals exist. That's why I'm pointing out that there are real ontological categories and groupings and collective things that have a real. Can you stop typing when I talk? Seriously?
Oh, sorry. I thought I hit the mute.
No, I mean, you're doing that on purpose.
No, I wasn't. I thought I hit the mute button.
You said in your opening statement, you yourself affirm universal categories and metaphysical things like natures existing. That means that there's more than just particulars. I'm just giving you another example of a particular of a universal or a collective reality that I think actually exists, namely states and authorities and people groups. There are real collectives, like women are a group, men are a group that have a real ontological existence. And I'm saying that families are a real thing that exists. It's a real metaphysical category. And in the same way, states and people groups exist, and they have real ontological categories known as authority. And so it's not purely a reductionist move of atomized individuals, which is your Enlightenment philosophy, which denies fundamentally collective ontological realities. But in your opening statement, you made multiple references to collective metaphysical realities that you can't justify.
Right, so these groups, they have some authority, right? But can that authority make it such that the individuals who make up that group have the right to aggress?
Say that again.
Like you're saying these groups, they have some authority, but can that authority then grant the individuals who make up that group the right to aggress?
Yes, because there are authorities. And when I was talking about individuals, I'm talking about individuals that don't have authority.
Okay, so what does the authority, how does that change the general rule that individuals don't have a right to aggress? How does this authority imbue them with that right?
Cut out. Can you restate that?
Sorry, how does the authority imbue individuals with the right that they didn't have to aggress? Like, how does it give them that right?
Because authority comes from the divine. It comes from God. And so for us, authority comes via ultimately divine revelation. And then we have in our worldview the notion of God ordaining authorities. Church and state have authority in the earth.
Why does the fact that it comes from God imply that they have the right to aggress?
Because God gives that right.
Okay, can God make contradictions true?
No.
Okay, but then you have a particular property theory of A owning B, right?
I gave you a balanced theory of the one and the many. You deny that by only saying that there's particulars, as you then turn around and talk about universal categories. So can you tell me what the universals are that you referenced?
No, I'm saying you're making a particularistic norm here.
Are you not going to answer this question?
I'm saying you're making a particularistic norm.
You've asked me 5 questions. I'm asking you a question now.
That is true, Liquid Zulu. You did ask him a series of questions and he did answer them. So let's see if we can get this.
What are the universals that you referred to in your opening statement? What are those?
Let's see here. I was talking about a universal ethic, i.e. an ethic which applies to the entire set.
What's the universal? What's the universal there?
I just told you, it's a universal ethic, i.e. it applies to the entire set.
So a universal ethic is a universal. That's a circular argument. What is the universal that you're saying there?
No, I use the word...
status of universals, what are they? What's the ontological status of universals?
I use the word universal because it applies to the entire set, i.e. it's universal within that set.
Okay, so an entire set of what? Do you have experience of that entire set?
No, that's just what I'm defining a universal ethic as.
Okay, how do you justify the claim that you have access to a universal?
What?
Is epistemology 101.
Okay,
Universals.
this is irrelevant to the
Give an account
definition of a
you're
universal
talking
ethic.
about- You're appealing to universals.
It's an
What's the
ethic which
justification
applies
that
to the
you will-
entire class. That's what I'm saying.
I'm
So
asking you for the justification to make class-based claims. I know you think that. How do you make that claim, that move?
I mean,
What is the ontological status of universals? Where are they? What are they?
do you disagree with the ability of me to do that?
So you're not going to answer it because you don't know.
Okay.